Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Red Flag Review, the podcast where we sit down with creators from all over the internet. We get to know them a little better and see how they react to some of the wildest Reddit stories that there are. Now, if you're new here, my name is Echoes Nation, aka Chris, and I'm going to be the host of the show and reading the Reddit stories. Today, I'm joined by two awesome creators. We have Tori Productions and we have Good Vibes Gregs. We're going to get into a little conversation with them about their journey, what they're kind of up to, what they've been working on, and then we're going to dive into these Reddit stories and see what they think and their opinions. Before we get started, I want to make sure that we are showing love to the creators that are on the podcast. So if you guys would, the links are going to be down below in the description. So please make sure you guys go and check out these creators and give them a follow. Now, without further ado, let's get into the podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Tori Productions. We have Good Vibes Greg here on the podcast. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing today?
Beautiful.
My beard has never been better.
Tori is enjoying a beverage out of his horn. I don't know what it is. Don't want to know what it is.
Listen, some days you just wake up in a horny mood and you got to grab your horn, fill it with your favorite choice of drink, and have at it.
True that. True that. All right. Well, I'm going to start with you, Greg.
Sure.
So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you've been up to, your streaming journey, all that whatnot. You have the floor.
Yeah. Well, some of you may know me, but the people who don't, name's Good Vibes Greg. I rebranded from Good Vibes Official back on Twitch, but you guys can call me Greg or nothing stinky, you know. You could call me whatever, right? But yeah, no, I came over to Kick and it was beautiful. I've been streaming for like almost 5 years, which is kind of crazy, coming up in April. Kick's been good, but I took a kind of little hiatus recently, and then now I'm back to consistent / full-time streaming again, just because I miss it, right? I really like the vibe of what live streaming can do. And my content's really like a late night TV show host. I got like Adult Swim type vibe to it, if you guys remember Adult Swim or Toonami. And I just keep it light, keep it fun, just keep the good vibes going, as cliche as that is. And yeah, recently got into some vibe coding. So again, you mentioned it in your chat, but doing some work for streamers called Raven AI, which is basically using AI commands or AI powered commands and getting a whole bunch of interactive games going on in streams and, you know, like gamifying the experience, but make it still fun. And so that's what I've been really into. Yeah, anyway, so I'm a cool guy. I'm a sweet guy, you know, keep it light.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Mr. Tori, you were up, sir.
Yeah.
Same question to you.
I'm going to pretend I don't remember the question, but anyways, I'll go off here. So most of you know me as Tori Productions, but feel free to call me Tori. I like Greg. I've been doing this for almost 5 years. I think my 5-year mark will be, actually, I think it passed already in March because I started on Twitch. I'd have to look again back in 2021. Life's been interesting. Most of you know I have a daughter now. She just turned 1 back in January, and she figured out how to walk since we went to Loot Fest. So I have gone from being able to enjoy my downtime to now chasing my little girl all over the house since she decided to climb on the table yesterday. Moving on. Having 3 kids makes life very interesting, but we are still, we decided to kind of swallow our pride and start multi-streaming and using other avenues of social media. So our TikTok, we've been using for fitness journeys, for weightlifting, and just motivational support for other people and speaking about what we went through in the military and whatnot. We're approaching 1,000 followers there, huzzah, and doing pretty good over there. I mentioned swallowing my pride. I started multi-streaming back to Twitch for my World of Warcraft stream since the new expansion came out. So a lot of people that I used to stream with back in and hang out with back in 2021 when I started are coming back slowly and surely. So Twitch, Kick, YouTube Shorts are still popping off. Hopefully when we get a new rig, we'll be able to start multi-streaming to YouTube as well, get that vertical content going. But between traveling to conventions, using all the social media to our effectiveness, we were slowly growing and learning as we go. Again, almost 5 years. I don't think I still know half of what most content creators who've been doing this for 10 plus years know, but we've had some growing pains. A lot of you know me as somebody with a very troubled streaming past, and I'm proud to say that we're kind of past that now. We've gotten matured in that aspect, and to be quite honest with you, I am very blessed to be where I am now, all things considered. So, and there are some, I don't want to spill the beans yet because I'm sure there's going to be some announcements made later on in the next month or so, but there are some things in the work. for future updates. So
Awesome. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now that you've gotten to know a little bit about these two, I think it's about time that we start our Reddit stories. So each episode, I'm going to have a list of Reddit stories. They're going to come from all over. They're either going to be tame or they're going to be intense. The idea is to create some cool conversation and get some opinions. And some of these Reddit stories might get a little insane, but we're going to start off pretty tame for the first one. I think it's a good idea. So the title of the Reddit story is going to pop up above my head, so that way y'all can know what story we're on. And feel free, if you guys are in chat, to make to follow along and give your opinions. All right, here we go. Story number 1. Am I the asshole for asking my friend to pay me back for the wine he drank while house sitting? Okay. So I, 26 female, had my friend, 27 male, watch my place and my cat for the weekend. I told him he could help himself to whatever in the kitchen, which I thought was just like common sense for snacks and stuff. I get back and realized he's opened this $120 bottle of vintage Barlow I was saving for my promotion. He literally drank the whole thing alone while watching Netflix. When I asked him about it, he got all weird and said I gave him permission because the wine was in the kitchen. Like, okay, but who drinks a $100 bottle of wine without asking first? I sent him a Venmo for $80, gave him a discount, LOL. And now he's calling me tacky and told our group chat I'm a bad host. I feel like there's literally an unwritten rule of guest logic where you don't touch the most expensive thing in the house. If I tell you to help yourself to my garage, it doesn't mean you can just drive off in my car. I don't know. Am I the asshole here? He's making me feel like I'm being extra, but I feel like he totally took advantage of me. I don't know. It's also just $120.
Well, like at the very end, I think she just called herself out, right? I think she is the asshole. One, you already gave permission to just kind of use your house. And so, like, with me and my hosting, I'll help myself out. Maybe not, not wine, but, maybe the guy didn't even know it was $120 too, right? But
yeah, I was going to say, I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is, how do you expect the person to know what your $120 bottle of wine looks like? And why do you have it out in the first place?
Or preface that too, say, oh, hey, help yourself in the kitchen, but there's like 2-3 things, don't touch, you know what I mean? So I think she is the asshole. I don't know. I think, yeah, sure, like it is somewhat common knowledge that don't drink like expensive things. Like if I saw a bottle on the very top shelf, I might take a little sip. I might not finish the whole bottle of whiskey, but yeah, no, I think she might be the asshole on this one.
I mean, let's be realistic, right? One, you opened your mouth and you said anything. You're welcome to anything. You'd never, ever tell anybody that if you have things that you value that you don't want people to touch, ever. Two, there are bottles of wine that might look expensive that go for $20 at Walmart. How is he supposed to know the price tag of a bottle of wine unless you tell him, hey, don't touch the wine. I'm saving this. It costs such and such amount of money. When you tell it like that, then that's going to leave them less inclined to want to touch it because guess what? Now they know it's an expensive bottle of wine. I know Stella Rosa at Walmart, really delicious, $25, $30, depending on what Stella Rosa you get. But then there's a really awkward looking bottle of wine that nobody knows about that's freaking $80, $90, $100. And you're like, the branding on this looks tacky, And for me, like, it also depends on how close they are. Like if she hired a house sitter off of like Facebook Marketplace, God forbid, then obviously, some people would think that they would ask before they do things, but considering the fact that she gave the open door of help yourself to anything, you know what I'm saying? Because if they're close and she talk and they talk and whatnot, and she goes, yeah, I got this promotion coming up or whatever, then the friend would know not to do that. The friend would be like, okay, well, she's got this promotion coming up. This is probably for her promotion, so on and so forth. But they don't know each other from Adam. He's not going to know what the heck's going on. And I agree with Greg in the sense, like, you Venmo'd $80, bragged about giving a guy a discount, but you opened your mouth and said that he was welcome to anything in the house. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Were you really expecting when you said that to get anything back? Like, be specific. Like, that's why most people, and I know I'm old fashioned, when you bring somebody in to sit your kids or to like watch something, there's usually instructions. And I know us men don't like to read instructions a whole lot, but if you're house sitting, generally we try to follow the rules and we go, okay, well, we're house sitting. Let's see what we can and can't do. If in that rule set and those instructions, like, hey, feed the cat such and such a time of day. He's only allowed this. Make sure you go outside, take the dog out. Don't touch the wine in the kitchen. Everything else is free to go. Okay, well, guess what? I'm not going to touch the wine because it says it right here. You have something that says, don't do this.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to I'm going to go back to a point I made before. If that bottle of wine was so important, why was it out in the first place? Right? Because if it were me, like, and someone was house sitting, like, there would be things that I would not leave out, especially like expensive things, because you truly don't know, like you don't know how good of friends they are. You don't know, like, what that friend could do. Like, that friend could go and like steal half the stuff in your house, and like, what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? So for me, while I agree to a point that, like, hey, it should be like maybe a common sense thing where, hey, if you're house sitting for someone, like, don't drink their alcohol. But at the same time, like, if you didn't want your friend touching that, don't leave it out for him to do that, because then you're
like,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, and that goes back to how well they knew each other. If this is just a random job opening off of Facebook Marketplace and you don't know the guy from Adam, then I would be very blunt what you can and cannot touch. But if they knew each other, because it sounded like they did from a group chat, right? If they knew each other and they were and like they knew, hey, I know so and so from work, we hang out and all this stuff from the third. Like, it's like me asking Ghost, hey, if you got free time, coming out of the house, I got to go out of town for a couple of days. Are you doing anything? No, I don't. Okay, help yourself to anything. I consider him a friend. Me, on a personal level, if there's liquor in there and he wanted to help himself to liquor, not saying he would, but if you want to help himself to liquor, go for it, because he's a friend. And when I say, you can have anything, I genuinely mean you can have anything, because my thought philosophy is if he asked me to babysit for him or he asked me to come house sit for him, that would be probably in return, unless there was specific details that for certain things that he had saved. That's just my thought process on that. So again, it depends on the relationship that they already had, in my book, as far as how well they knew each other. If it was just a straight up Facebook Marketplace, hey, join this chat, go, okay. But if they had a relationship a little bit,
it sounds like they knew each other somewhat pretty well, just because, like, at the very end of that Am I the Asshole thread, she said, oh, I don't know, it's just $120. Well, right, you kind of outed yourself that you kind of made a big deal for nothing. If that's how you're thinking, if you got it like that, where $120 wine is just it's just $120. Well, then is it really an issue then? Because you did already say, hey, help yourself for whatever. So that's the asshole part in how I see it at the very end right there.
Yeah, I think there definitely could have been like better communication. Like, the friend could have texted her and said, hey, I found this bottle of wine. Could I like have some? And then they would have been like, no, that's for my promotion. Okay, I won't touch it. But also at the same time, like, if I was house sitting for someone, like, and this is just kind of a me thing, like, if I was house sitting for someone, and even if they said, hey, like, help yourself to anything, if, like, I would just have the inclination where, like, if let's say, like, I ate something that you had in the freezer, or like I ate like a whole box of snacks that you had, I'm gonna be inclined to probably replace it. Not because you not because you ever asked me to, because you didn't, but just like that's just a courtesy thing. Where, like, okay, hey, like, you asked me to house sit for you, and whether or not you paid me to do that, like, out of the courtesy, I'm probably gonna replace whatever I took. I think in this situation, yeah, I think the friend could have probably replaced the bottle of wine, but at the same time, it is a $120 bottle of wine, and you don't know if the friend could afford it. But to your point, Greg, when when she, at the end where she said it's just $120, so why is it such a big deal then? And I thought something else funny that she put at the end of this. She said, if I tell you to help yourself to my garage, it doesn't mean you can just drive off in my car. I don't think anybody's going to drive off with your car. Like, if they're house sitting, I don't think anybody's driving off of your car. So I don't know if that was the best correlation that she tried to make there. But yeah, I think there was definitely a lot of miscommunication. And while the friend that was house sitting could have, maybe avoided the situation by asking, I believe if she really didn't want anybody to touch that bottle, she should have just never left it out in the first place. So I want to go to some of the comments here. So the top comment with 17,000 upvotes says, you told him to help himself to whatever. He did. most people can't distinguish between a $15 and $120 bottle of wine. And most people aren't going to read a receipt you left lying around either. You're the asshole. This one's on you. Which is true, because I mean, like, I'm not an avid wine drinker, but I know enough about wines to the point where, like, a lot of the labels could look the same. You could look at 2 bottles of wine and not know that there's like a $200 price difference in between the two. If you're not like an avid wine drinker like that.
I don't know if anybody in the chat or if either of you two have been to Italy or not. I've been to Italy, and I will tell you, they don't care how they label their bottles. Their bottles look almost exactly the same, plus or minus a few color schemes. And one is worth €15 and the other one's worth 90. And it just goes up from there. And they put the expensive stuff behind glass, like a display case, for a reason. Yeah. And then they have the little thing down there to show you, hey, this is what it is. And it looks like that thing's been pulled out of the sea. So yeah, like I said, you can go to Walmart and you can get a bottle of Stella Rosa, which is if you want cheap, and I use that term in air quotes, wine, some of the best tasting wine you're going to get, as a Moscato fan myself. Or you can get a random bottle that looks inexpensive and find out it's worth $90, $100 and be like, what the heck? Because it all depends on aging and everything else. So yeah, no, that we're not wine experts.
Yeah.
So another comment here that I think is also interesting, it says, you're the asshole. You could just chalk this up to miscommunication, which is something that we've touched on a good bit here. You said help yourself to anything in the kitchen. If you had told him prior, except for the bottle of wine I'm saving for my promotion, you could ask for full compensation. This is on you. Swallow your ego and let this one go, my dude. It'll be better for the friendship. Like, I don't think this is like a deal breaker for the friendship. You know, I think it's just like it's a freak thing. You know, it was just an accident. Like, the friend didn't know it was a $120 bottle of wine. He also didn't know that it was a bottle for her promotion, you know? So I think if there was just better communication, this situation could have been avoided. But I think to something you said earlier, Greg, like, I don't think she's completely the asshole in this situation. You could really go the route of, like, they both could be at fault here. But I think when she pointed out the fact that, oh, it's just a $120 bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of making it sound like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But also the friend, like, when she sent him the Venmo request, the friend could have just said, you know what, $80, yeah, I'll give you $80. Like, it's an accident, like, call it a day, like, wipe your hands clean, done. So this is a little messy, but I just feel like things could have been communicated better. But yeah, any other thoughts before we move on to the next story?
I want to know what her biggest cup size in wine glasses is before I say anything else, because that would depend on why she was so angry. If she's got a regular wine glass, okay, I understand. But if she's got one of those jumbo-sized ones, there's a reason why she wants her wine back. Just say her job is making her drink that much wine, so she's earned it. That's all I'm saying. And I know y'all know what I'm talking about. The little things I like. You got a 2-hand. You can't hold it by the stem because the stem's barely hanging on. You got to hold it by the whole bowl.
Man. All right. We are going to move on to the next story. Now, the next story, this is where we start to get a little more intense. So, story number 2, the title reads, am I the asshole for skipping my own surprise birthday party once I found out it really wasn't for me? I'm just going to point this out. I'm not big on surprise parties because, like, they scare the heck out of me. So,
yeah,
here we go. I have never been big on birthdays. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate them. I just prefer something low key. Dinner with my closest friends, maybe watching a film, something small, basically. Everyone close to me knows this, except my sister. Let's call her Maya, who loves big gestures and believes every birthday or achievement needs balloons and a theme and much, much more. 2 weeks before my birthday, Maya started acting strange. She kept asking me if I'd be free that Saturday and acting weirdly when I asked why. I suspected that she was up to something, so I told her again that I didn't want to party. She just laughed and said that, as per usual, I was being no fun. A couple nights ago, the night before my birthday, one of our mutual friends let it slip about it being a party. She mentioned what she was wearing. Anyway, turns out the whole family was invited, and it was at our parents' house. Some coworkers were also invited, but here's the kicker. My freaking ex. For a little context, me and my ex broke up about 2 months ago. It ended pretty badly. No abuse or cheating, but it wasn't a pleasant ending. I made it pretty clear to everyone in my life that I want no contact. Maya knows this. However, she's told me multiple times that I should just get over the whole situation because he's a nice guy and that he's been a part of all of our lives for years. The first thing that I did was call Maya, demanding answers. and she didn't deny it. She just said that we could finally talk it all out. She admitted that she hadn't just thrown the birthday party, or she hadn't thrown this party for my birthday, but also so everyone could see my ex again and we could fix things between us. She literally said to me that I'd thank her later. I went mad. I said to her she had no right, that I would have been ambushed into the situation or my birthday. And this was all after I had specifically said that I didn't want a party. She just said that I was dramatic and bloody ungrateful, that she had this whole thing planned because I wouldn't find better, and it was a good gift. She said everyone had gifts and traveled, that everyone was excited. So yesterday, my birthday, I completely powered off my phone and didn't let anyone know other than my best friend. So we went out for lunch and went on a walk together. Ended up having a great day. When I finally got home, I turned my phone on and it was mental. Maya was fuming. People were disappointed. People even said I embarrassed Maya. Maya is now basically saying that I ruined the whole party and made it all about me. It was literally my birthday. She says that she did it out of a good place in her heart and that I should at least apologize for not showing up and letting people know. So am I the asshole?
I don't, absolutely not an asshole. I feel, she already did her part to Maya. I would have already texted my parents to just say, hey, by the way, I'm not going and I'm shutting my phone off. You know what I mean? And then I would have just shut my phone off right there. But she is not the asshole for sure. I think Maya overstepped so hard. That's insane.
Yeah. So here's the biggest kicker for me. The fact that she specifically had said that she wanted no contact with her ex. And the fact that the sister still went out of her way because in her mind, she felt that it was the right thing to do. Because in Maya's mind, she wanted them two to be together. But that's not how it works. And obviously this article doesn't explain what actually happened to break the relationship up. But at the same time, clearly something happened where she wanted no contact with this guy. So why would you put your sister in that kind of situation, especially when it's supposed to be a surprise party? Now imagine if she had never found out about the birthday party. She shows up and all of a sudden her ex is there. How much worse would that have been? Truly. I imagine this girl would have completely just stormed out of there and never talked to anybody again.
It would have been hella awkward, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But this one hits a little close to home. I was in a situation once where I had gone out of my way to do everything to save a relationship. And that was my first serious relationship, high school sweetheart sort of situation. And did everything I could. Parents got involved. Parents didn't want it happening. And I was in a very dark place at that point because I'd given blood, sweat, tears to try to make it work, the whole 9 yards. And a family member of mine went out of their way to say, oh, well, you didn't try hard enough because if you did, you'd still be begging and pleading and doing this, that, and the third. And I think you should go back and redo it. And kept egging and egging and egging and insulting. So when people don't realize when you put effort into a relationship to try to make the relationship work, there is a little bit of trauma that comes on the back end of that because you put so much effort into it. And when you have a family member completely disregard your trauma from that and your effort that you give it, that is probably one of the lowest feelings that you can have. Because it just says, oh, well, it doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter how you feel. I'm going to make your decisions for your life for you. So yeah, if it was me, in the situation that I had, I straight up called my father and I was like, hey, I'm out until this gets fixed. I'm gone. I'm going to go move somewhere else. Because I was 18, going into college, coming out of high school. And thankfully, I had the money at the time to be able to go rent a house and go live out on my own. So that's exactly what I did. I moved right on out. I said, I don't have to put up with it. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm going to have my space and I love you, but I'm not here for the disrespect. In this situation, I would have done the same thing. I would have went and I probably would have hit up a couple of friends and be like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm not doing this, but I want to hang out with some of you guys. Who's willing to come? And bada boom, we go have a good time. And see, I would have been the bigger butthole. I wouldn't even turn my phone back on for 2 days. I would not have turned my phone back on because I would have known all those text messages were there. And I would have been like, I ain't dealing with it. I made it clear. You didn't want to listen to me. You disrespected my wishes that you claim you care about, which you clearly don't. So therefore, I'm going to do my own thing and I'm going to keep my peace. That's the saying, right? Keep your peace. I'm going to keep my peace. I ain't going to deal with it.
Yeah.
I think
I'll get back to you in 2 days.
it's just like it's a time thing too, right? Like maybe the situation could have gotten better in the next 3-4 years for this girl in the story, right? But like obviously she wanted no contact, right? And those things work out by themselves. You know, I've had family members who would just overstep, and I'm like, nope, I'm not gonna deal with that till, you know, down the road. Because there's growth, there's whatever. But yeah, this sister, if it was my sister, I don't even know. I probably wouldn't talk to her for a little bit for sure after that.
Yeah, it's so I understand the whole not liking surprise birthday parties thing. And then like if she was like kind of upset about the birthday party, okay, cool. Like I can get that, and I don't think it would have been this bad. I think once the ex came into the picture and the sister just wanted the ex there and all the friends wanted the ex there, that's when this whole dynamic changed. That's when this went from an innocent like surprise party to, okay, now this is just completely disrespectful. And like you're like, you know, like if this was like a friend doing this, like it would have been one thing. This is her own sister. Like this is your own flesh and blood, like completely disrespecting you and disregarding. And the other thing too is like she said in here that her ex and her had broken up 2 months ago. Like this isn't like you know, it's been a year or two. Like okay, maybe you know, there's been enough time. We could catch up. Yada yada. No, this has been 2 months, and 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry, but depending on how I don't know how long the relationship was because it doesn't say it in here. But if this was like a couple year relationship, like it takes time. Like, and it doesn't take a couple months just to completely like snap of a finger, just to get over it. Yeah,
It does sound like a long one, just because like Maya and family like knew this guy, and like he was part of the gang for a while.
Yeah,
so, like, it does sound like
it said in here. It says she told me multiple times that she get over the whole situation because he's a nice guy and he's been a part of all of our lives for years. So clearly, like they've known him for years. So that's off of that, I'm assuming that they were together for years. And like I said, in that case, like it's worse for me because that's just complete disregard for her feelings. And the other thing too is like it's her birthday, like, and she specifically asked for, like, again, I understand like she doesn't like surprise parties. Like there's a lot of people that don't like surprise parties, but their friends end up doing surprise parties for them anyways. Like yada yada, like cool, haha. You can laugh about it later. But like she specifically asked for one thing, and you just couldn't do that one thing. And it's just crazy to me that some people just think that's okay because like screw their feelings. Like their own feelings are the only ones that matter. Because she had an opinion. I don't think that y'all should have broke up. He's a great guy. Like we all like him. That's great. But again, we don't have the context here, but like you don't know what this guy has done to her. Because again, clearly there was something bad enough to happen where she wanted no contact. But it doesn't say like anything about any abuse or cheating. It just says
it was probably just ended up on a bad note, right?
It just said it wasn't a pleasant ending.
Yeah.
The thing is, it doesn't matter if there was any abuse or anything like that. Is the person directly said, I do not want any contact with this individual, and you go out of your way to completely disregard that, then you never cared about their boundaries or their personal space or their feelings in the first place. You did something for yourself to make yourself a public spectacle.
So I want to get into some of the comments, and the top comment is actually going to make y'all laugh.
Okay.
It says, not the asshole. Don't be surprised when Maya and your ex end up dating.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's great. That's I mean, she clearly likes him, right? Like she clearly likes him enough that she wants him to be around. So that wouldn't surprise me. So another comment says it was probably angling for her ex, not the asshole. She went behind your back, lied to family, friends, and your coworkers, and your ex about the party. Anyone who truly knows you will understand you prefer low-key events, which I can appreciate and enjoy as well. Maya's embarrassed for her lies and is pushing the blame on you. Happy birthday, and from the sounds of it, you had a fabulous day in a way you appreciated. I love the fact that she took it upon herself. She was like, I'm shutting my phone off, and I'm just gonna have one of my best friends that I'm gonna hang out with, and we're gonna hang out and call it a day. That I think that was the smartest thing she could have done.
Meanwhile, her sister's over here. Look, I threw this giant party for you. Love me. I'm better than her.
Yeah, and
Look
also
how nice I am.
like also the end of this where it said like, you know, Maya's fuming, people were disappointed, people even said I embarrassed Maya. Like it's not Maya's party. Like, yeah, Maya's the one that's throwing the surprise party, but it's not Maya's party. So there's just no world where I would feel any kind of embarrassment for Maya, like at all.
I just feel like Maya and then some of the family members might be the assholes too, just because like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like how are you going to expect someone with an ex, right? I'm sure they've gone through their problems, right? So they weren't going to be able to go into this person's shoes. I don't know.
Yeah. And
so
then
it's like get a new family.
Yeah.
And don't worry with that mentality. Remember, the Mayans are extinct for a reason. So it's probably because of that mentality right there. Don't worry. It'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the last paragraph starting out saying Maya is now basically saying that I ruined the whole party and then made it all about me. Girl, it was literally her party. What are you talking about? Like it was her, it was her birthday. What do you mean she made it all about her? Like that part makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Like duh.
It's my day.
Like, yeah, duh. Yeah, this one kind of got messy, but yeah, don't ever do that. Okay? If someone tells you they don't want someone there, don't put people in that situation. That's just it doesn't matter who you are. Like that's not fun. All right. Let's move into story number 3, which is going to be another good one. Let me take this one out. Story 3 reads, would I be the asshole for suing my friend when she didn't come to my wedding? Okay.
Wow. All right. Already an insane title.
This is intense.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I, 25 female, recently got married to my 25 male husband in Bali, Indonesia in January. It was a destination wedding, but my parents and his parents paid for their own plane tickets and hotel, but we paid for our friends' plane tickets and hotel stays. Each plane ticket was about $2,000. Hotel was maybe about $150 to $300 for a week. My friend, Gemma, brought along her newlywed husband, John, along, but paid for his plane ticket. The problem is that Gemma and John did not show up to my wedding. Gemma took the free plane ticket to Bali and the hotel room. And when I asked her why she didn't show up, she said that since they couldn't afford their own honeymoon, that this was a perfect opportunity and that Jim decided that he didn't feel like going. I was really hurt by this since Gemma and I have been friends for over 10 years. Would I be the asshole if I took her to small claims court for the money I spent on the plane ticket and hotel? So, for context,
insane.
For context, this friend paid for her friend to come to her wedding, but the friend paid for her husband, but the friend and her husband never showed up to the wedding. So basically, her friend paid for her to go to Bali just to have their honeymoon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Her Judge Judy's available.
Yeah, dude. I mean, obviously, I would communicate it first, be like, you know, that was a dog shit thing to do. We've been friends for 10 years. Just give me the money. And if they were just like, haha, no, honeymoon, haha. Yeah, I'd take them to court. What the fuck? Like,
I will let you know. This story actually has 2 updates.
Okay.
So we're gonna discuss the main story here, and then I'm gonna read each update. So just on we're talking on surface level right now. Just from what we read.
I don't even know. Like, well, I would assume that could be handled through the court.
If she sent the money,
right,
and expressed in details, money is meant for you to come and attend our wedding. It's your airfare, it's your hotel stay, but this is for our wedding for you to come. And she said, I understand. That right there is enough to get your money back when it is revealed that they chose to not show up. There's no medical reason why they chose not to show up, at least not to our knowledge. There's no medical reason. It was just a simple, we wanted to go on a honeymoon. He didn't feel like you were important enough, so he didn't want to go. So we enjoyed a honeymoon at your expense. I've heard of people thinking money grow on trees, but for somebody to go out of their way and have the respect for you to want to come to their wedding and then you no-show and just blatantly tell them to their face that they wanted a honeymoon. Yeah, no. If there was an understanding and that is in writing in any way, shape, or form, yeah, I agree with Greg. You just sort of let Judge Judy get your money, get your money back, and then get even more money for being on reality TV while you're at it.
That's the thing too. It's like it's under pretense anyway, right? Like, cool, you gave me a ticket, you gave me a hotel where the wedding is going to be at or whatever, right? It's still under pretense This person, dude, I have no idea how
I guarantee you
that mindset was.
Yeah. Like, I guarantee you for a destination wedding, you had an RSVP for that thing too.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and my assumption is that these were already paid for. Like I don't even think this is a situation where they sent the money. Like this is a situation where the wedding couple bought these plane tickets and hotel ahead of time. So that's exactly what it was meant for. It was never meant for anything else. Like it was spent on the plane ticket and the hotel.
And anybody with common sense knows they're going to ask if they're available first before they ever shell out the money, because that's money they could save for their own honeymoon instead of trying to buy tickets and rooms for people that aren't going to be there. There's no common sense in that. And granted, common sense is a rare thing in the world these days, but it's just one of those things where they had to have said, yes, we will be there at your wedding in order for that money to even be remotely used on them. And then they turned around and had the audacity to say, nah, screw, we're going to do something else. Like, yeah,
just for that friend too, to be like, no, let's not do that just because the husband didn't want to do it. That husband's kind of fucked up too. I bet that, I don't know. I hope, what if they divorce in this upcoming story?
All right, so I am going to read the first update because there's two. All right, so here's the first update. I messaged Gemma per multiple comments advising me to invoice her for the plane ticket in the hotel room, but I did something a little better. I wanted to get proof, so if I had to go to court, it would be easier to win. I messaged her this. Hey, sorry for being so distant, but I wanted to talk to you about Bali. I'm sure that I'm hurt that you didn't show up to the ceremony. I pulled a lot of strings to ensure that you could come, and then you didn't show up. Do you think I paid for the trip just so you could honeymoon with John? She replied, I missed you a lot, and I know the trip was for your wedding, but John didn't want to go because he felt like your wedding ruined the illustration of the trip being our honeymoon and that you'd understand. I replied, no, I don't understand. You took advantage of me, and that's not what real friends do. So I'm invoicing you $2,387.53 for the cost of the plane ticket in the hotel room. I will give you 30 days, and after that, I will be taking legal action. I've received no response, but she's been posting subliminal quotes on Instagram that are along the lines of entitled friends and having snakes in your life. Thank you all for your verdicts and help. Now, that's just update one.
Jeez, dude. The mind games you got to go through to make yourself seem right. That's nuts.
If it wasn't for the fact that I don't see that behavior on Twitter almost every single day by people that used to be part of my community, I would be, well, you know, I might be slightly impressed. So the husband's a jack-off. We've established that part. I've never heard of anybody in my life assuming that somebody was going to understand that they said, no, you're not that important. We're going to do this for us, when somebody went out of the way to get them somewhere for them. Never heard of that. It's sort of that is like an egregious amount of entitlement. And the fact that the friend went along with it instead of having the spine to go, yo, that's my friend. She's getting married. This is important. That's not really a friend.
So
that's a snake.
I want to get into update 2 because update 2, I'm gonna precurse this by saying it's going to get worse, because the first line literally says, "I didn't think this could get worse, but here we are."
Wow.
I didn't respond to any of the subliminal messages she posted about me on social media, and I've been very quiet while I've been getting my ducks in a row for the litigation. But this past Friday, she sent me a 3-page audit of financial and emotional contributions from 2015 to present. I wish I was freaking joking. The audits. She itemized every dinner or lunch we've ever ate together. She estimated $18 per meal. Gas money for driving to and from hangouts. A birthday gift from 2017 that she now claims she went into debt for. Time spent emotionally supporting me after my dad passed. What? That's crazy. She took the role of a grief counselor from me, even though I talked to her on the phone about it once for 30 minutes. One time she helped me move apartments. She wants to be paid for her labor. And emotional distress caused by me threatening litigation. Her grand total, $2,412.09, which is conveniently within $25 of what I invoiced her. She then told me that if we're really keeping score, that I actually owe her $24.56. I think I stared at the document for 10 minutes in silence, in shock from the audacity, because this witch is delusional. To clarify, I never asked her to cook for me. While I was in college, she did pay for lunches, but when I definitely returned the favor big time once I graduated. I bought her many gifts over the years. I've let her stay at my house several times when she and John argued, and I've also lended a shoulder for her to cry on when she had difficult times in life. But apparently being a friend is now billable. I decided to give this message a thumbs down because if I respond, I will be extremely disrespectful with the anger I'm facing. I cannot wait for these 30 days to be over because I will be suing the freak out of her.
Yeah, I don't know legal things, but I don't even think her and the delusional one, right, would even hold up in court because it's been so long, right? Dude, this is insane though. What the fuck?
The
So delusional.
I like my brain is just like the fact that she put on here for time spent emotionally supporting me after my dad passed. How terrible of a person could you be to put that on there?
Fucked up.
Like that,
Yeah.
like that's just that's insane to me. Like why would you ever, like, I understand that clearly this is a tense situation, but like why would you ever bring that into that? Like that you're just now you're in a whole new stratosphere at that point.
Yeah. She has no ground to stand on, dude.
No, not at all.
Yeah. She needs that delusional one needs to self-reflect. Wild.
I don't know if it's safe for me to respond to this. There's somebody in the chat that might understand where I'm about to take this entire conversation. I don't think it's safe for me to respond to this. All I'm gonna say is there is a reason why parasocial narcissists get thrown around quite often, and that is a very, very good shining example of that. Because screw it. Just because you buy things over time for people, it doesn't give you any sort of right to tell people how to live their life. And it doesn't give you any right to try to inflict any sort of emotional blackmail over their head. Right? For example, I had a situation where someone bought me a gift and then decided to try to tell me how I should operate my streams and who I should be talking to and who I should be talking about, and this, that, and the third. And then they decided, because I removed them from my presence and established my boundaries because they crossed that line, they decided to take it a step further. And we're not going to get into that. This is the exact same situation on a whole other freaking scale. Because one, like we said at the beginning, there had to have been an understanding that $2,000 was going to be sent to this couple, not for a honeymoon, but for a wedding. They had to have agreed to it. They had to have RSVP'd to it because it's a destination wedding. So that right there is enough grounds for the claim to be paid. The fact that they went behind her back and they decided to make it their honeymoon and then twist it on its head and try to pin the emotional damages on her because they knew they were wrong, that tells you the entirety of their soul. They didn't care about anybody else. They knew what they did was wrong. They didn't care what they did was wrong. And the moment that legal was brought into the conversation, they tried to flip it on its head to peer pressure and try to get her to back off with this audit. It is the most parasocial, narcissistic thing I have ever seen. And it reminds me of my situation, but on a much grander scale. And I've seen the commentary. The counterclaim, I'm sorry, you're not going to average $18 a meal, especially when you don't have receipts for every single meal. Because that's the one thing the court would look at is, okay, how much did every single meal cost? And what was it for? And then two, like Echo said, using the dad's death, that's a line you just don't cross. That is just a line you just do not cross at all. That is below the belt on a whole nother degree. So yeah, I all intents and purposes, I hope she sues, not shoes. I mean, throwing a shoe at them would probably help too, and not fucking sentencing to them. But I hope she sues the heck out of them, gets her $2,000 back, plus emotional damage and support. So make it another grand on top of it for that 3-page audit that she had to waste time reading to try to comprehend. Because good Lord.
So
the other two can get it together.
Okay, so I got 2 comments to read here. One I think is pretty much encompassing everything we said. Another one makes a really good point. So the top comment here says, "Can't believe I'm saying this, but not the asshole. Someone offers to give you a free vacation on the condition that you attend one party during that time. I'd be jumping for that opportunity. To take that free vacation and then no call, no show to your friend's wedding is really crappy behavior on their part. They could have extended their stay if they wanted to treat the trip as their own honeymoon."
Yeah.
Like,
But they couldn't afford it.
It's that easy.
They
Well-
couldn't afford it. That's why,
Yeah.
because they were using the time that they had off of her dime. Because think about it. If they could afford it, that's what they would have done.
Yeah.
But they couldn't.
Yeah.
So they used
They
the
afforded
money
the
that was
husband's
given to them.
ticket. That was it.
Yeah, that's all they could do.
So the other comment says, you are not an asshole. Your friend is the asshole here. But I can't see you winning any sort of claim. Legally, you gifted her a plane ticket. There was no contract. She had to come to the wedding, which I think is a good point, especially if you try to take it to court. They're going to say, well, you gifted her, you gifted her the plane ticket.
There should have been some pretense, though, on text. Like,
What I will say here, and I think this may be just a lesson for OP to learn when it comes to this time. I mean, obviously, I don't ever see her spending this kind of money on a wedding ever again. But if you're going to buy plane tickets for people to come to a destination wedding, you should have some kind of written agreement or something that says, "Hey, I'm gifting you this plane ticket. All I ask is that you come to the wedding. What you do after the fact, like that, if you want to extend your trip to stay for a couple extra days because you want a vacation, so be it. Like, that's fine. But all I'm asking is that you come to the wedding. That's it." And I truly do not think that that's hard. I really don't. Like, she is asking you to go to one event, right? And the fact that you're just like, I'm just not really feeling it. We're just gonna go explore instead. Like, that to me, like, I don't even truly think that was your friend in the first place. That's just me.
I'd be the Phoenix Wright and yell, "Objection!" Like I said, if she messaged her and said, "Hey, I would like for you to come to my wedding, and I am willing to pay you $2,000 to fly you out there," and she agreed that they would attend the wedding, that is verbal obligation right there.
Yeah.
That is enough to get them in court.
It's true.
That is enough. And I don't know who watches crime dramas or court dramas or whatever the case may be with like the Judge Judy's and all the other ones. But that has won court cases because at the point they said, "I will attend your wedding," that is a verbal obligation and it's in a text message. And trust me, people print off their text messages to bring them to court as proof that says, "Hey, they said they're going to be here. They did not show. And then this is the reason." They purposely avoided the obligation for the money.
This got messy.
Too messy.
Way too messy. I think we started here and it ended up like here. Like probably off the screen. Like, wow.
That ego of that delusional girl is insane too. Like, yeah. Again, the mental hoops you have to go through as a person, it must be exhausting to live her life.
Like,
and go hang out with a whole lot of people these days.
And the fact that they were friends. She said they were friends for over 10 years. Like, that again, that just truly shows that like at any point in given time, like someone could just show their true colors in the snap of a finger. Like,
you and I have seen it firsthand.
Oh yeah, no.
Most of the content creators in this chat have seen that same behavior firsthand, where you think somebody's a good person, and then you find out, oh, hey, we're embezzling money. What? All
right, we got two more stories. This next one is a little less intense. This one's just funny. I find this one funny. So the story reads, "I dumped my girlfriend because she made a test Instagram story and I failed. I, 26 male, broke up with my girlfriend of 9 months yesterday because I'm apparently supposed to treat her Instagram like a job interview. She posted a black screen to her story with the caption, 'Some people really disappoint you, LOL. No context, no explanation, just that.' So I ignored it because I'm not a mind reader and I'm not here to play high school games. I assumed it was about one of her friends or just her being passive aggressive about work or whatever. Well, apparently that was a test. She told me I failed because I didn't message her right away, asking what was wrong. She said it showed that I don't care enough to check in. I told her I don't check Instagram every 5 minutes, and if she has a problem with me, she should act like an adult and talk to me instead of fishing for attention through vague stories. She said I was being cold and emotionally unavailable. I said she was being manipulative and immature. She cried. I packed my stuff. She's still messaging me, telling me I'm heartless for leaving over one small thing. But it's not one small thing. It's the million little red flags I've ignored for too long. The tests, the mood swings, the social media drama. I'm not dating a puzzle I have to solve daily just to avoid a tantrum. I want peace, not stories written in invisible ink that I'm expected to code while she sits there with her arms crossed waiting to see if I love her enough to notice. Done. Blocked. Logged out. I feel like I can breathe again."
Yeah, that stuff stacks up over time. It really does. I don't think I don't think OP is an asshole. If he's like all these tiny little things you do, if I multiply that by 10 years, I'd be over it, right?
See, my thing is I just don't like these relationship tests. Like, and sometimes there's some of the most minuscule things. And like the fact that she expected him to just automatically like, oh, you need to automatically see my story and automatically say something, like that to me is just like, no, that's not how people work. People, they work.
Yeah.
They don't live on social media I mean, there are people, don't get me wrong, there are people that live on social media all day, every day. But most people don't just live on social media. Most people take out their phones and they they check whatever, they scroll for a little bit and they're done. Like they call it a day. So the fact that she expected him to, see the story and immediately be like, oh, hey, what's wrong? You know what I mean? Like, what if he was waiting until like he saw her maybe later that day and said, hey, I saw your thing. What was wrong? But she didn't even give him that opportunity. She just automatically assumed the fact that, he didn't say something right away. You don't care enough to check in.
Yeah, I don't like how the dating pool is so hard just by experience, but
yeah,
the way people treat relationships now and things that get flooded in their own social media warp their reality. And it's like this is in streaming space or working or whatever. I miss when people could just like communicate and just say, hey, there's this like minor issue. And you could even be like super transparent. Like I've had issues and I'm just like, hey, this is like a premature thought right now. So my emotions aren't fully developed, but I'm having this issue. Is this what's going on? Or like, can we talk about it? And some people like see that as like weakness or something. And it's just mind boggling. You know what I mean? Like how are people supposed to communicate nowadays, right? And a lot of people, like this girl, seems like the only way she knows how to communicate is through social media, which is a horrible like red flag in my end. So that guy did it right. He needs to find somebody who can actually talk.
Yeah, and another thing too is like, yeah, we all, I think there's points that we can get thoughts in our head, like because we may like oversee a situation or like get a thought in our head, like we think we know what's going on, and like to your point, like that's what communication's about. Like if like, and it shouldn't be frowned upon to say, hey, be like, hey, I saw you post this thing, like I'm just wondering, like what's going on, like is there something up with us, like what's going on. That's perfectly normal. That's healthy communication. Like there should never be an idea that like, oh, like this person's crazy. Like why would you ever think that? Because some people's brains just work like that. Some people's brains just sometimes overlook into things and overthink, like, and that just happens. But for this girl's like idea of communicating is to post social media things and expect that her other half like has to check social media just to know if something's going on with her. Like she's not communicating that to him. She's just expecting him to go on social media and see a story and be like, oh, so there is something wrong with you, but like, why are you not communicating that to me? And like, that's also like putting your relationship problems on social media, which is another big no.
Yeah.
Like those things should not be solved on social media. Those things need to be solved in your relationship. Like social media is not meant for like displaying your problems, because that's going to do one of two things. That's going to invite the weirdos on the internet to start messaging you and be like, oh, I see you're having problems in your relationship. Guess what? I can treat you better.
Tips Fedora.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one thing. And the second thing is like, it shows that like you aren't mature. Like if you have to go to social media to display your relationship problems, that to me is a sign of immaturity. Like that clearly shows that you don't know how to be in a relationship. And that's not necessarily, I don't want to say that's a huge red flag. I think that's something that like,
I think it's deeper, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think
she's using this to like have an audience of her life and thinks that this is, important, and not to the important thing, which is right in front of you, this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a way deeper issue than the small little social media posts.
So do we all remember the day when Facebook came on and everything wasn't official until it was Facebook official?
Oh yeah.
and how everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Facebook was the Bible. If you didn't update things on Facebook, you were just
If you didn't post your relationship on Facebook, if you didn't like actually post a relationship status, it didn't exist. Your relationship didn't exist. Yeah.
It has gone from just being solely Facebook to now we have grown it to all the social medias. And in certain relationships, it's like, okay, well, you did this, but you didn't do this. Now I have a problem. Like for me, one, it's attention seeking. She's just looking for attention. She's looking for somebody to show her some, which you guys have already nailed that on the head. But two, right? If you have to do a test to see if somebody's paying attention to you, one, that's going to make me question what's going on in the house. Like, are you there? If they're living in the same house, that's going to make me question if you two are even talking in the same house. If you're not living in the same house and it's a long distance relationship, which is what I'm going to assume this was, correct me if I'm wrong, you should be talking enough every day to kind of get an understanding of that. Like, you're not going to sit here and be cordial in text messages and act like everything's okay. Then the next thing go on Instagram and post, look, this guy is falling. Why isn't nobody checking? You're not going to do that. Because then you're giving off a whole different perception and you're lying. You give off the appearance of lying. Now your partner, your other half, they don't know what the heck's going on with you. And if you're going to get mad at somebody because, once again, they were just in text messages with you, talking, and everything was fine, and now all of a sudden you're flipping your wig, you might not need to be in a relationship. You might need to go see a therapist. That's all I'm saying. Because there's some baggage in there somewhere that is that needs to be resolved before it gets taken out on everybody else. I don't blame the dude for leaving because, like I said, there's red flags like that. If you're going to take social media as your measuring stick for somebody's personality, you're a lost cause. You're an absolute.
This is also screaming. This is also screaming trust issues to me because I feel like I've seen stories where spouses will put their other half like through tests because they want to like see if they can trust them. Like that to me is saying, well, if you need to put me through a test, you don't trust me. And that's a problem. And like my thing too is like, if that person has never given you a reason to not trust them, then why is a relationship test a thing? Like at that point, why are you in a relationship with them if you don't trust them? You know what I mean? Like putting these people through tests, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Unless you're still in grade school and you're studying to graduate, tests or for like a promotion, there's no test. Either you trust the person or you don't. And if you don't, then you need to hash it out and talk about it. And if you still don't trust them, then you need to move on. And if you still, in every relationship you go into, if you still have trust issues, then you need to either go see the preacher, you need to go see a therapist, you need to go see the psychologist, or somebody that can help you get over your issues so that way you can have a happy life in a relationship and you're not taking out all the past problems on the person you're trying to be with. But a lot of people, there's one word that prevents them from doing that, and it's called ego.
Yeah.
I think not to get too off topic, but like the algorithms nowadays of just force feeding you things of living a certain way has really affected a lot of people too. And that's why we get these warped realities now that people think that they live in, like that delusional friend or this girl. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, it's pretty intense.
So the top comment here basically just kind of reiterates what we just said. I think testing in relationships are a deal breaker. It automatically shows a lack of trust, which is 100% correct. Someone else said, you passed a far more important test. Forward always. Basically saying, hey, the real test was like, should you be in a relationship with her? No? Okay, move on. Another comment, which was an interesting quote that he put here, he said, I'm not dating a puzzle I have to solve daily. That's exhausting. That's a crazy line, but it's true. Because like if you're constantly like every day getting up, like having to feel like you're second guessing so many things and you're like having to put like these puzzle pieces together for things to make sense, then what are you doing? Like, are you truly even happy in that relationship at that point? So, all right. Well, that was an interesting one. Now, I will let y'all know that this last story is really intense. I may even.
How intense are we talking about?
I may
multiple tense.
Yeah, I might even go as far to say there might be a little bit of a trigger warning here on this last one, because it like I said, it's pretty intense. So here we go. Final story, ladies and gentlemen. Am I the asshole Late fiance's brother proposed hours after his passing. Now the title may be very vague, but here we go. Exactly the title. My late fiance, 28 male, and I got into a car accident and he died. His brother proposed to his now fiance shortly after finding out about his passing. He had a very rough relationship with his brother and had just recently been on, at best, semi-decent terms. His brother was planning to propose the day after my fiance passed, but decided to propose the same day after finding out. That night, while I was in the hospital, his mom said it was a silver lining to my fiance's death, and I was so numb, I could barely say anything. His family acts like it was okay that he did it, which I have a very hard time agreeing with. His brother and fiance came to town a couple days later, and my sister overheard him saying that my fiance's death ruined his proposal plans, so he had to change them. His brother and his fiance then came to see me in the hospital and walked in on me crying after losing my engagement ring in the wreck. Moments after that, his fiance flashed me her engagement ring and said that she thought I would want to see. No, I did not want to see it, and I was too stoned/drunk to speak. In what world would I want to hear about love after losing my fiance? Fast forward 2 weeks, and his brother asked me to step in for my fiance in his wedding. I didn't respond. Every time his mom would call me, she would talk about the engagement and how it was so great. Eventually, I couldn't stand it any longer and told her I didn't want to hear about their engagement anymore. She was okay about it until she came to visit me recently and started talking about how they already booked the church and the venue. How have they already gotten the wedding? They are wedding planning in the midst of mourning. She didn't tell me the date, but I wonder if they had set it as my fiance's birthday in 2027. Every time their engagement is mentioned, I feel like throwing up. It's like a gut punch. This entire time, I had just sat there or made comments like, "That's crazy," either because I was too out of it or because I still hadn't got his ashes from them. Now, nothing is holding me back, and I am supposed to see them all again soon, and all I want to do is scream at them. I understand his death highlights how short life is, and you never know what will happen next, but I feel like it is too much. It's almost as if his brother is trying to overshadow him even in his death. I feel as though they disrespected him in his death. Am I overreacting? Is it not that big of a deal that he proposed the same day? Should I just back off? Would it be an asshole move if I refuse to go to the wedding? My family is on my side, but I don't know if they are on my side just because they're my family.
So let me get this straight, right? We have a brother who died, was the fiance, and the and that girl. And then you have his brother with his fiance, right? Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, read the room at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you know, I could see both ways because it's depending on how you are with death and things, and even loved ones that close, you can see like, you know, there's death and then there's joy, right? So there's that whole yin and yang, but it is very soon, you know, you're in love with this person dies, and then now you see his brother proposing and finding that joy, and then you're robbed of that joy because of life circumstances, and to do it that day and to get you involved where it's very sensitive and touchy. I mean, it kind of goes both ways for sure. Not to play like devil's advocate. It just depends on, I think, where you're at in life, because you know, that person, that girl could be like, you know what, I could see this as a beautiful thing, and somehow, you know, seeing the brother being happy and legacy and all that could go really well. But again, the other way is like, dude, I just lost somebody I loved, and now you're making it this and weird and all that, right? So that's kind of tough.
So there's a couple layers to this. So I think the first layer is exactly the point of read the room, right? Like, there clearly is something tragic going on. So, but I think another layer to this is, I think everybody grieves differently. And the first paragraph in here said that the brothers have had a very rough relationship. I mean, granted, it was just recently been semi-decent, but clearly there was something was going on with them that they were clashing. They had an issue. So my question in this situation is, did the brother do this because he felt some kind of way for the other brother, and like this was his opportunity to step in and say, okay, well, now that he's out of the way, now it's my time to shine. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, that's pretty messed up, because like you're now taking advantage of someone dying just for your point, and that's just like that's the weird feeling. It was never like really pointed out in this, but that's just the weird feeling that I have about it, that like the brother just took this as a opportunity to just take advantage of it. But I guess my biggest thing is like in this whole thing, nobody, and I mean nobody, took her feelings into consideration. Not the family, not the brother, not his fiance. Like nobody took her feelings into consideration. This man literally just lost her fiance. Like that's where we start. That's where this story starts. It's like this fiance has lost, like this girl has lost her fiance. And the fact that in this story, now granted, there are two sides to every story, but from what I'm reading here, there was absolutely no regard to any feeling.
Well, go back to the beginning of the story right after the wreck and read to me what the brother said about the timing of his proposal.
He said his brother was planning to propose the day after my fiance passed, but decided to propose the same day after finding out. So
Continue, because you said something to the effect of,
I know where you're. It said his brother's fiance came to town a couple days later. My sister overheard them saying that my fiance's death ruined his proposal plans, so we had to change them.
Your brother just passed away. You were fighting your brother, and I'm speaking a little bit from personal experience here, Chad, so bear with me here. Your brother just passed away. You've been fighting with your brother on and off, potentially months, years, whatever the case may be. And you blamed him. Knowing he's dead, you blamed him for your plan not working, even though his death was uncontrollable. You want to know the mindset of the individual? That right there tells you that the only person that brother cared about was himself. He didn't care about his other brother that passed. He didn't care about the fiance of his brother, because to him, they're one and the same. He looks at her, he's reminded of his brother. At this point, she is nothing more than a pawn. She is a moving piece in whatever fascinations that him and his now future wife have in store. And as the middle child in my world with an older brother, I will tell you that when there is no more competition to be had, or someone is no longer viewed as competition for whatever attention you may have within the household, it becomes very easy to sway opinion when it comes to getting whatever it is you want, because there's no one else there to detract from it. Is it messed up? Absolutely. And I fully agree that she should not show up because, again, she wasn't looked at as a person. She was looked at as a pawn. She was only important long enough until the brother passed away. Once the brother was gone, she stopped being family, which is one of the worst things you could do to somebody that just lost someone, is treat them like they no longer exist. And that's exactly what happened, because her feelings weren't considered. They immediately moved in and said, hey, we want you to do this. It wasn't even like they posed it as a request. But anybody with common sense knows that if you're going to request somebody to do something for a wedding, they're expecting you to do it. And that's where her feelings and whatnot, they were never considered in the first place. She is literally a tool to try to show the appearance that they care about his brother. And that's it. It's just the appearance. Because deep down, no one gives a damn.
Yeah.
You know what? So I don't know why I just thought of this, because I'm sitting here reading the first paragraph, and there's something here that's not said. And again, because this is from her side, there's something I'm curious about. Because of the way like this entire thing is written out, to where like her, like the brother and his fiance and their whole family, like the way they're treating her. All it says in the first paragraph is it says, my late fiance and I got into a car accident and he died. You know what I wonder? There's no details of the actual accident itself put in here. I almost wonder if they blame her for what happened, and it's not said. Because if that were the case, how this is worded and how they treated her would be, not that it would make more sense, but it would explain why they're treating her like this. Now, in no way am I insinuating that like she caused this or this is her fault. Like, nothing along those lines. But it's just curious that was never. It's just curious to me that was never pointed out. But what I will say is something that really stuck out to me that was really messed up. Was when they're in the hospital and the brother's fiance walks up to her and just starts flashing her ring at her. Like, again, complete disrespect.
Malicious.
Like, yeah, it's completely malicious. Like, woman just lost her fiance, and you're over here flashing your ring at her. Like, what? Like, another like read the room situation.
I guarantee you the family has money, and because the late brother is no longer around, the new couple, like I said, when you have no competition, you can sway a lot of opinion, right? If that family has money and she's flashing her ring around as a sign of wealth and say, hey, looky what I got. This is what he got me. I guarantee you that couple thinks that they're going to walk into a pile of money and they're going to get spoiled more now than they would have been if the brother was still alive. It is a 100% a jealousy trait. And I got one, it's the one-up factor. You had this, you lost your stuff, but I didn't lose mine. And this is what I've got now.
There's just, I feel like there's something missing from this story.
Even if, and because I see your point on them potentially thinking that the accident was her fault, right? That could happen. In today's world, that is very much possible. But even then, we've already established that the brothers were infighting. There's lost love. So even if they believe that the accident is her fault, what basically happened is now the brother is using her as the scapegoat for how he feels towards his brother because they never made up, and is punishing her and and basically treating her like he would treat his brother through her at this point, because she can't defend herself. She is vulnerable, and his other half is piling it on at this point because she also knows that there's nothing that she can really do about it. And I guarantee you that her fiance, his brother, told her how he felt about his sibling. So even then, that couple are some of the nastiest mofos on the planet at the moment, given this situation. And I would not attend. If I was in her shoes, I would not attend their wedding at all.
Yeah, I think no matter I think no matter what was left out or what's missing here, I think the grand scheme of it, like the overall idea is that no matter what, like the way that the brother and his fiance handle this, as well as the parents, it's just not okay. Because like the fiance that just lost her soon to be husband, like she should have been the focal point. Like she should have been like, everybody should have surrounded her and supported her and made sure that like she was okay. And then you think about the wedding after. Like you don't think about anything else until like you know that like she's okay. And granted, like that doesn't just happen like super quick, but just like it would be nice for them to have just even a little regard for her feelings, because clearly no regard were had for her feelings. And like I can't imagine like her being in the center of all of this. I can't imagine like how she feels. And I think it would be very hard for her to articulate, because that's a situation that I think you would hear about in like a fiction story. You would never think like real life this would happen, but here we are. And
again, you noticed how every time they pushed the envelope, she was either incapacitated, drugged, unable to speak, or unable to defend herself in any way, shape, or form. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew that she could not defend herself either through words or through actions. They knew. That's the despicable part. Well, it's not the fact that they thought that, hey, maybe if we have this wedding, we can cheer up. You know, you just lost somebody. If we have this wedding, maybe we can brighten everybody's spirits. I've seen that. I understand it, especially when people pass away and they're like, hey, don't worry about me. Have a celebration of life. I don't want anybody mourning my passing, right? Yeah. We see that all. This is not that situation. This is literally a brother taking advantage of a bad situation and trying to spin it to make it all about him, and just pushing the envelope with what he can get away with, 10%.
So I want to read a couple of the comments here. Somebody said, the fact that they're already booking venues and calling it a silver lining while you're still in the hospital is unhinged. Protect your peace and skip that wedding guilt-free. I made this point a little bit earlier. This comment says, first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. May he rest in peace. Not overreacting at all. People can deal with grief in different ways and crazy ways, or not at all. He may have just wanted an immediate distraction and doesn't fully know how to cope. Personally, I think it's way too soon to propose the day your brother dies. But from what you said, maybe because he had a really rough relationship with him, he found it a bit either to compartmentalize. I can never say that word. But I really hope you're doing okay. There's no way in how I would go to the wedding if that were me in that situation. Anyone who makes you feel bad for your decision to not go is a selfish asshole. be gentle with yourself because him proposing the day he died just feels like it's being swept under the rug. Yeah, like I get that. Like people do grieve in different ways, but something about this tells
Something's
me
missing.
something tells me this is not the way he was grieving, not by any means.
Again, I speak somewhat from personal experience because my older brother was a very jealous type, and he wanted all of the attention and all of the spotlight, and anybody that bothered to even remotely threaten that position, well, let's just say things didn't go the way that they wanted to. So this scenario right here, if there was an ounce of remorse, one, he would have waited. Bottom line, he would have waited. He did not care. Two, he would have checked in on her and he would have gotten her. Usually in situations like this, what normal people do is they would have went to the widow and they would have said, hey, I know it's a little, I know this just happened, but I would like your permission to propose to her out of the kindness of what you just went through. And this is why. That didn't happen. Three, you continued to antagonize and agitate her on purpose while she's recovering in the hospital, knowing full well she could not respond to what you were doing. In all three of those situations, there is not an ounce of remorse, not one. It was literally selfishness, jealousy, and ego all on display because the competition just got taken out and now there's nobody to stop him from being the spotlight, plain as day. And unfortunately, in this situation, I believe she is being put in her brother's footsteps as far as the emotional abuse and trauma that had been going on for quite some time. Even though he passed away, now she's taking his spot and he's treating her the same way he was probably treating his brother, which is why they had that standoff for so long.
Yeah.
Stinky.
Yeah. I did,
You know what I mean?
I did tell y'all that we were gonna end on a pretty intense one. So
Something that I've learned throughout all these, right, is that at least the last like couple, a lot of people are actually like stupid. I didn't realize.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because you like I said earlier, like you would never think like some of these things would actually happen in real life, and then like all of a sudden you just go on Reddit and then somebody posts about it and you're like, whoa, like wait a minute, okay, well here we go. Yeah, and you know, I think today's story is like I said, I tried to create a good mix of like some dumb like whatever and then like some really intense ones. I mean look at the wedding one. I mean the wedding one got way like we started here and it got wicked out of hand. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's crazy how things can go from 0 to 100 real quick.
But here's the other thing, is everybody has their own experiences. Everybody encounters different things in their life when it comes to today's society. There have been things that I've gone through that I would hope, pray to God, Greg hasn't gone through, and that I'm pretty sure you haven't gone through. But there are things you've gone through that I haven't gone through and hopefully never will. And the same thing can be said about Greg. Everybody has their own different experiences. Some people are far more blessed when it comes to what they've encountered in the world than others. Some of us, we had to scratch a claw for everything. Some people, well, they had the proverbial silver spoon, if you will. So those who have had the proverbial silver spoon, yeah, that's going to be how they act and how they maneuver in the world is going to be different from, say, what you and I would do, right? And I feel, and this is just a hot take from me, I feel those of us who have had to scratch and claw and have been through some are more grounded and are more reasonable and have developed that common sense just from sheer experience and willpower, rather than the ones who didn't have it as rough. And, you know, it's a shame that I think that probably, but every day I go out in the world, that's what I see. The people who have had to scratch and claw and had to go through some rough times, we understand just a little bit more. We can empathize with certain things a little bit more than what other people may or may not, because they haven't had to deal with that.
Well, gentlemen, any last words before we finish up here?
Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was actually kind of perfect.
That was good.
Man, get some help.
Stop it.
Well, gentlemen, thank you guys so much for being a part of the very first episode. Some great conversations have been had here today. And Greg's swallowing his mic.
No. Great conversation.
Great conversations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Red Flag Review episode 1. Once again, Tori, to Greg, thank you guys for joining. I will have their links in the description so you guys can go shoot them a follow. Make sure to tune into their streams and make sure to follow them on all socials. But until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye and hope y'all have a great day.